Well, Wake Up Charlotte to go, and two people usually don't see together here. How you doing, Brittany?
I know, I'm doing great. Normally it's me and Larry because you're off because, as we know, he never takes off.
Nope.
Don't worry, everybody, he's fine. He just had an event last night, and he wasn't going to make it back all the way from the coast in time.
Well,
I feel like every time he's off, we get a lot of questions. But it was great to hang out with you this morning.
Larry is here. Yeah, so Brittany was doing traffic. I was doing weather. And, of course, you have the power of two meteorologists here. Talk about how dang cold it was. That is the big talk of this morning. So how did you fare this morning, my friend? Because you are originally from Florida, and this is a shock and awe to yours.
Here's the thing. It's good to know when it's going to be cold because I feel like that's what, your friends will say. Well, I didn't know. Well, you got to know because you got to pay attention. This morning was rough. I will say, though, yesterday it was really nice to come into work and wake up to those really pretty pictures of snow in the mountains. So it's kind of like, double-edged sword. You get the pretty pics, but then you don't want to deal with it.
See, that's the thing. The snow looks great. And speaking of, let's bring up some pictures of the mountains. Well, this is a bad example because there's actual snow on the lens. But this is Beach Mountain right now, so they're actively trying to make snow. There we go. We swing over. It's still just a little bit foggy, and you can still see some of the grass. So they're actively trying to make snow right now. Snow did fall over the weekend. Brittany was here actively when that was happening, but not a lot fell.
Yeah. Beach Mountain, of course, we know because of the resort. They make their own. So they're kind of adding on to Mother Nature's natural that fell yesterday.
But this is a good example. Yeah, so this is Sugar Mountain, zooming off into the distance. I love that, where you just have a little bit of light snow. You can still see some of the grass. The rooftops are covered. And I saw some snow totals of the weekend. Wasn't that much, up to an inch for most locations?
For most locations. We were getting reports from places like Sugar Mountain, Banner Elk. Of course, we know Beach Mountain. Some of that was man-made, not fake, but man-made. But Valley Crucis, Lenore, places like that. So, yeah, for the most part, it was kind of a dusting. But what I did think was interesting is that yesterday morning, of course, it had been so warm that it wasn't really sticking on the roads. But that's kind of changing, really, with this next system we know coming up.
Yes, it takes just a batch of colder air. So Brittany actually made this graphic yesterday, and she forecasted 29. Well, guess what? We dropped down to 29. She nailed it. So verification, there we go. We, by the way, as meteorologists, this makes our day. When you nail the temperature forecast, especially when we get the highs and the lows exactly, this is what we live for. But Brittany, you had this fact. It's been a while since we were at 29 degrees.
Yeah, so the last time we dipped below 30, because we did hit 30 back on October 19th, I believe it was. But the last time we were below 30, so 29 or lower, was March 28th of 2022. So 232 days. So it's been quite some time.
Just wow.
And November has been really warm. I think Brad was saying the other day that it's one of our 5th warmest starts to the month on record.
Yeah, and that's about to change. And this actually felt more like January. Now, it's kind of splitting hairs here because the dead of winter, the coldest part of winter in January, we have an average low of 32 degrees, and that lasts most of the month. So we, of course, get lower than that. So 29 degrees would be even beating that out. But we have a lot more of these mornings ahead. This is not where we should be. We should be around 40 degrees, maybe the upper 30s. We have that on Wednesday. Get ready for a lot more of those mid-20s rolling forward. And, Brittany, we're even talking about a chance for a wintry mix. Sleet, freezing rain, snow and rain mixing together, light snow in general, and that is all for the mountains mainly.
Yeah. Getting some comments just, on our stream. Melissa saying, looks like I have to turn on the heat this week.
Yes.
I mean, I would say yes. I think it kind of depends, right, on if you want to open the windows or not, and bring in that cold air and just kind of shut them. I know apartments oftentimes, they're better insulated, especially if they're newer, but I know houses, different story. So I personally have not turned on my heat yet.
Oh, our heat's on.
But
we did it.
I was about to say you got a house, so it's kind of different. But yeah, I mean, I would say definitely heated seats in the car too.
Yeah, heated seats. I had my heat fully blaring, at least in the car this morning. And as we just saw, I'm going to go back to that graphic. You need it going forward. I would plan on turning the heat on the house because every morning, pretty much over the next 10 days, or at least 7 out of 10 of them, will be freezing. And the mid-20s, that is very cold. And then for the mountains, we're talking about the teens, all that jazz. But let's get to our precipitation chances. First, starting overnight tonight, we're going to see some light, spotty rain. Now, most likely, Charlotte's going to see some rain, but Brittany and I were actually talking about this. It was sometime last year. We had a similar forecast, temperatures in the upper 30s, mainly rain, but then all of a sudden the first sleet kind of came out of nowhere. So I don't want people to be surprised if sleet actually does fall tomorrow morning.
Yeah, because, of course, with the air temperature in the upper 30s to even lower 40s, oftentimes you can get those freezing temps at certain levels of the atmosphere. The warm nose typically will melt them, but if you get that freezing cold right before you kind of get closer to the ground, you get some of those little bouncy ice pellets. So if you hear a ding on your windshield tomorrow instead of a raindrop, that's most likely.
Yeah, it'll be a noticeable sound difference, but I just know whenever you have the first wintry mix in Charlotte, it always catches people off guard. And the way that looks on the radar is it's almost like a little teeny pink line out, like just a spot of white sometimes. I think we might see a couple of those, but there already is a hazardous weather outlook for the mountains because of a chance of a light glaze. Some totals as much as of 1/10 of an inch. I think most of those will be below that mark. Luckily, temperatures get above that, but this is not going to be a great morning tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow's just kind of a raw day. In fact, Chris, kind of glad I'm filling in today.
Yeah, I know, right?
Because I think you'll have kind of a busy morning because it's kind of like what we had on Friday. I mean,
yes,
a lot
exactly.
of off and on rain. Of course, it's going to be a lot colder than it was Friday, but when you get these off and on rain chances, especially in the morning and early afternoon when folks are heading to work, even maybe heading on a lunch break, you just kind of got to remember to take a few extra minutes, just slow it down a little bit. I know it can think, you're trying to get to where you want to be, but you got to do that, especially, like you mentioned, up toward the mountains, because that glaze can mean black ice.
Yeah, black ice. And then even at this point, 33 in Jefferson, 34 in Boone, this is 10 a.m. I think you might see rain-snow mix at that point because we're getting outside of the sleet and the freezing rain profile. And then there could be a brief little lull, but then more rain rolls back in. I'm not really expecting any wintry mix at this point. We remove that from the forecast. But this is a cold rain. The 40s, see what Brittany just did. Bring her up on screen to show the people that is exactly how it's going to be feeling.
When they bring us up again, I'll redo it for you.
Okay, that's good. But yeah, as you can see, that rain is going to be clearing out, and then that's pretty much our only rain chances for the week. But going forward, I already showed you the lows. Well, you have the 40s and the 50s for our highs. And if you always look at the upper right of our 7-day forecast, we show you where we should be. We're nowhere near that really over the next week and a half. I think the following Thursday, closer to Thanksgiving, we might be a little bit closer to that, but that still is a very cold patch that we have on the way.
Yeah, we started off the month, it seems like 10 degrees above average, and it looks like we're going to end the month closer to about 10 degrees below, at least for this stretch.
At least we split the difference, right?
Yeah, exactly. When you average the temperature, you average the fact that we were 82 for a record high on last Monday, and you average the end of the month, maybe we'll hit that average of 63.
I guess this was due. I guess this was supposed to happen. Well, thank you so much for joining us for a weather edition of Wake Up Charlotte to go.
And hopefully you don't have any issues on your disgusting Tuesday tomorrow. Be safe.